So you're welcome to this session. Today we are going to look at the principles of assessment and evaluation. These are called principles because an assessor or an evaluator should follow them and consider them while undertaking any assessment and evaluation exercise. So instead of calling them rules, we call them principles because they are the do's and the don'ts for undertaking any assessment exercise. So here we are saying that an assessor should have a principle which is that all assessments should be constructive and should be constructively aligned with their objectives. That's the principle we are calling constructive alignment with objectives. So that means that the assessor should have objectives in the hands already designed, then start to construct an assessment instrument or a tool of assessment following those objectives. So objectives that have been implemented in teaching and learning, they are the only ones that should be assessed. So you do not assess outside the learning objectives. So these should be in cross matching. So if one was to check whether your assessment instrument that you've undertaken was proper, would have to find the objectives and then check the assessment instrument to see whether it is aligned with those objectives. Where not, then there is a problem with that assessment tool or even the evaluation exercise. So what we call constructive alignment, the word construct is build up the what? The assessment instrument. Then two, we're saying that the assessment and evaluation exercise or even the instruments should be clear, accurate, consistent and timely. So these assessment instruments should have these characteristics. Should be clear, accurate, the other word for accurate is correct, and should be consistent and timely. So even the information that these instruments give should have this accuracy and this clarity and this consistency. But also the information you give should be timely. So it shouldn't be late. The information that is given about the assessment should be timely. Those are the instruments. So, that is one of the principles. The other three is that without compromising academic standards, assessments should be equitable and inclusive in nature. So that means they should also have the aspect of fairness and fair to all individuals and groups. So equitable meaning they should not bring about an imbalance. The assessment is only talking about maybe girls, and the boy does not see himself there. And then even the names you will find that when, for example, it is a national assessment or a school assessment, if you use the a quote somewhere, you should use a simwe and also use buiso. Yes, a buiso. Some kunda. Other it's young. So otherwise, students, learners will feel like it is more of a particular section, and they are not concerned. It is just imposed on them. Then this, what we are calling inclusivity, it should take care of what's inclusive education. The lame, those with the impairments and disability should be able to use the assessment instrument. So you may find that some of the learners are actually having visual impairments, and the fonts there are very small, are very tiny, that the learner cannot actually read them. I wanted to bring, I think I didn't carry the paper, where I asked one of the administrators in a school to print for me graph papers. And the graph papers were having very, very tiny squares. Yeah. And even you would really confuse the squares. One would not even get this, because the standard they use is 1 centimeter square, a square of 1 centimeter. Then they divide the square into 5 side by side. But the other ones were not even there, those segments of 1 square centimeter. So it would be hard. And there are some learners who are left-handed. In inclusive examinations or tests, the diagrams have got to be on the right side, not on the left, like for us. If you were to draw a diagram here that the learner should label the question, you see that if the learner is to label this, maybe labeling for those who are right-handed, the diagram is on the what? Is on the right, because they write on the left. Those who are left-handed, they are like this. So the diagram, it is harder for them to see the diagram to write. So usually the alignment differs, but here most times in our schools we are not embracing those inclusive standards. Sorry?
I specialized in a teacher. He had a teacher who was using a left hand. teach. So when you are going for your supervision, the teacher was standing this side instead of standing this side. So he was penalizing that teacher as a bad chalkboard used by the teacher. When I looked at his criticism sheet, I said, Mister, were you really inclusive? You know what you were talking about. This teacher is comfortable standing this side and writes while going this. How do you expect him to stand here and write while going the other? So even with the teachers as well, need to be accommodated to them. Because the left-hand teacher will stand this way and writes while going. Whereas us, we stand this way and go the other side. So that is the inclusiveness.
There are some learners with visual impairment that they can see a D as P, something.
Some kind of special need.
Yes, special need. Dyslexia.
Words keep on reverse.
Dyslexia.
Those letters which have inverted shapes, 9 or 6.
So while doing an assessment, you need to identify learners' needs, their special needs, and as you're assessing, you're also considering their special needs, so that one is fair in the assessment exercise. Then assessment should reflect the nature of discipline or subject or any area within the subject. Could be a topic if it is focusing on a topic. But one does not need to find an assessment instrument or any assessment taking place. Assessment exercise is taking place, but we are not aware of what is it about. All the paper is there, but there is no name that this is the English language paper, and it is paper 1. Or it is mathematics, but focusing on content of paper 2. So that one should be there. The nature of discipline or the subject and the subject area should be mentioned. Then we also see assessment should enable learners to demonstrate varied or various ranges of generic skills and knowledge. So there should be that balance, so that you're able to assess various skills, not assessing one attribute and then you complete concluding that you have assessed the entire course. So learners should display various skills and knowledge during the assessment, because it has been prepared to help them do that. And then this is the assessment scheduling and the amount of assignment required should provide valid and reliable outcomes. So the focus here is making sure that there is valid and reliable outcomes. This is very key, what we call valid assessment. A valid assessment and then a reliable assessment instrument. Now, validity is the correctness correctness of responses. The word response can be replaced with the word results. Of responses that an assessment instrument can provide. So validity, you look at the correctness of results or responses that an assessment instrument can provide. So this focuses on correctness. However, reliability is the consistency, or we could even say is the ability of this. Let's adjust that. Is the ability of an assessment instrument to provide consistent responses when it is applied or administered under the same situations to the same respondents or the same students. If I came with an instrument and I administered it today, then I correct those responses and come back with the same instrument again and administer and then correct those responses. If I tallied these responses, can they be the same? If they are not, then possibly the research instrument is not consistent because the responses it is collecting are not the same when it is used on the same respondents or students under the same situations and maybe even over again and again. The responses you collect are not consistent. That means there should be an adjustment within the research instrument. Possibly, if a research instrument is going to be administered to a group, then the responses which you collect from that group should, everyone, if is to provide an appropriate response, then the response should be similar. But if the responses vary, then it could be like the problem could be with the reliability of the what? Of the research instrument. Sorry, of the assessment instrument. It is not reliable. Yet this one looked at correctness. That is validity, correctness, reliability, consistency. Then here we have that assessment should have a balance between formative and summative. That there should be that balance in assessment and evaluation exercises. This is summative is taken at the end of of the cycle, and then formative is continuous throughout the what? The learning process. So the two should be integrated and balanced within the assessment and evaluation exercise. And I think these days UNEB is now thinking of having some project work, coursework, to subject achievement. Okay. Activities of integration. So afterwards, when have they provided where you post on the portal each term? You post it on the portal. What is the level of bias? What's the level of biasness? Okay. Can one post a student who has got 40%?
Yeah, there are some who are making the maths, but now that the 80% is going to expose them, because activity of integration is 10, project is 10, and then the final paper which will be written is 8. So if you lie about the maths, people are going to be exposed. Because you can get somebody with 9 out of 10 in activity of integration, then in 9 out of 10 in the project, then that person cannot even
get
10 out of
80.
In the summative at the end.
Okay.
So, of course, not all schools have that, especially private schools. They are trying to see a lot
of
it may bring problems.
So that is it.
Instead of taking marks for that, they give them several activities of integration.
They choose the best.
And then they choose the best.
Yes.
They give them many. Then out of those,
They post the best.
they post the best.
Is DIT involved anywhere?
DIT is it is an independent entity. I mean, entity in the way that it is upon the school now. Because they call it off, they express it off from the curriculum. Such that, but they say that if the school is free to continue with it just as a way of helping their learners to get skills, no problem, and even certificates. Because you are examined at the end of a certain level, and you are given a certificate.
Okay.
But they are all considered as part of the examinable, official examinable activity, which will go with results. Yeah, some schools don't. But yeah, many schools retain it because it is one
Okay. So the Directorate of Industrial Training has not is somehow scraped off the direct involvement in the curriculum. It is upon request.
Under Parliamentary Act, it is not identified or it is not designated as an assessor at that level. That's why people came in and put from silence for fear of the law.
She's saying that the Directorate of Industrial Training is not incorporated by law or instituted by law to get involved in assessment. of learning in secondary schools. So its involvement is quite unlawful unless the parliament again reviews and
also it is implementation was just it is just like increase now. They brought it without first of all either piloting, testing, but they just imposing on it. So when they realize that they are offside, they would do it now slowly.
And all those how can those projects which were in schools, like people are doing bakery, you heard of tailoring, and those how are they being handled without VIT? I think some schools could be struggling because teachers are not skilled enough to handle them.
For some, you never have its ways of managing.
Which?
Those years. You remember there are secondary schools who are home economics and other food. Those courses were treated under the name. And you never normally get the examiners from the technical wing.
To come and observe. Okay. So that is then students are entitled to group or individual feedback about the assessment and evaluation results or outcomes. So the students should not be there where they have been assessed, but they wait and do not get any feedback. Actually, some of them keep on in schools. They keep on asking, when will the results come back? Yes.
The worst aspect, even if somebody maybe is not even the script back, their script back, but when they can show them where their weaknesses and strength lie in the paper. Because that is the most important. Otherwise, even if you assess a million times using the same items, assessment items, as long as you don't show them their areas of strength and weakness, then you expect the same responses all the time you assess subject to the same assessment items.
Okay.
In terms of showing them this is what you are expected to do, and way of revising them.
Okay. So there, in feedback, there should be engaging students in a discussion of assessment outcomes, and then correcting them, or they can even correct each other, but should be facilitated and guided.
I think also feedback should be timely. There are cases when students wait for the feedback and they switch off. By the time it is blocked, they are completely switched off and they are not interested anymore.
Yes, in the feedback. Okay. So that timeliness is very essential in feedback giving. And also awareness of you call them incidental assessments, where students don't know that there's going to be any assessment, and here they are being assessed.
It's better that when you go to assess, you let them know
Mm.
Give them time. Ask them, you write a test.
Mm.
Maybe 4 days, 5 days, today is Sunday, on Friday you are going to write a test.
Mm.
So give them a reminder somewhere. Do you still remember about the test? Yes,
Mm.
remember.
Mm.
Do the test.
Mm. For preparedness. But some theorize that learners should be prepared anytime in life, so they can be assessed anytime. Those are incidental assessors.
You go for a lecture.
Mm.
Only to tell, okay, you don't want anything here. You are possible test. So that is
Mm.
for you, I'm going for the lecture, only to find the test is very effective.
Mm. So, all so other principles are practicality, that an assessment instrument or tool should be practical. One, doable. Yes, doable, and the student should be able to put knowledge into practice. So that's why not all assessments are for writing. Because there are certain attributes which we cannot assess by writing. So learners should be able to speak, should be able to practically do. Yes.
I would like to know more about assessment tools.
Mm.
Can you identify some of the tests? Those are the ones we call assessment tools. Tests, exams?
Yes.
Okay.
The languages, some use them as tools, others say it's an instrument. Others say it's a method.
All instruments include tests, exams.
Mm. We are going to have a section which is assessment instruments.
Okay.
So that in that section we concentrate on assessment instruments. But you're right, those are some of the assessment instruments that you can use to collect data about learning. Then there is also authenticity. So what is authenticity?
Be covering what the children are being taught. Like if you examine the children ahead of what they are being taught, then you expect them to know what they are being taught.
Authenticity coming from the real material. The person is supposed to be assessing the people. Like if I'm a teacher of geography, the tool should be implemented by me, a geography teacher. If you are from ICT, not like me, I'm a geography teacher assessing history. It's another thing for authenticity.
Yes, Mr. Samuel.
To me,
Like,
authenticity simply means that it should be from the real context. If you're talking about history of Africa, what is entailed in the history of Africa? What are you assessing about history of Africa? Is it what is in that topic? If we say that is the letter authentic, what do we mean? Is it from the writing?
That's the example that I was trying to give.
Yeah.
We can say that you bring your authentic
Yes. Original.
paper from the university. So what Florence was talking about, she's right. Authenticity means that original from that very institution, from you.
From the instructor.
From the instructor, it is the you. I can say
But I
that
can tell you to use it.
you prove whether that paper from Nkumba was authentic. What do you understand there?
Is this assessment paper authentic? Is it set by a lecturer of DC? Let me also give an instance. DC, because you need to make that point. Let me give an instance in music. When we say we want to capture authenticity, for example, if it is a folk song, and then we want to look at the authenticity of that folk song. We're going to look at, is it coming from Bunyoro? If you are bringing a Bunyoro folk song, that is an additional. In the elements that you are bringing out,
You are all right,
within that culture. But now you can't be the teacher, the instructor of that subject, and then you set outside. It still comes back to the same thing.
Okay.
So I can't be the teacher of ICT, and then I said physics in ICT. It still comes back to the same thing.
So we
so it seems to be multi-dimensional. That even if it is paper one of a particular subject, for example, history, is paper 3 or paper 10, what is there must be the expected subject content or subject matter. Even that. But again, authenticity may be even defined by bringing European history to senior.
So what are we concluding authenticity is about?
Context.
Is that Charles authentic that he was
What they should be, what that cohort group is studying. You don't set outside their school.
Within the
It should be
limits of
set
their
by
content.
somebody.
Within the limits of their it is
Their
not
content
Okay.
It is not a sign that the person who teaches them should be sent.
I think you can get some geography to set it.
What they have been taught in that curriculum.
Mr. Google help us.
So now we are within context, and the concept is coming out very clearly that the word authentic comes from the word author, which comes from which means originality, the source. So if something is to be authentic, then we find, does it come from the true source?
Yes. That's it, the source.
Now, what do we call the source for a lesson? Or, for example, it's subject area. Subject area is one. And then covered content. Possibly in assessment you may even sideline the one who has taught. Provided you have the objectives, you have what has been taught, anybody can do the assessment. So
No, subject
that is
specialist.
uh-huh.
Is it from a subject specialist?
Uh-huh.
Because for me, I teach geography at school level, but those who say in Europe, they are different people. Is it from that subject specialist? Yeah.
Okay. From subject specialist as the authors of the assessment.
How do you know that it has come from the subject specialist? When he has followed the objectives.
Of course, somebody can be given 96, and you will paper is 6. You can know that this person is not especially in that subject. The terms, the what? Even here in the university, you can give paper, you know. Oh, the technological advancement, things can come from everywhere.
Yes.
I can eat money to say I sit. It can happen. And then somebody who is especially in that person says this person, it doesn't need to be something.
Yes, you see, when
That's why I wish it would come in the paper. They are really understanding it.
if, for example, we've written negative 200, and maybe this is 4,000, okay, 4,000 minus 2,000, let me use 1,000 so that the values are different. Then you get 3,000. 4,000 minus 1,000 equals 3,000. In accounting, in accounting language, you write that you see that brackets in accounting mean negative. So when you are opening any statement, any financial statement, you will not find negative there. You will find brackets, which if you are not an accountant, unless you have learnt it, you will not reason it, you will not recognize it. So it should come from that field, that accounting field, and specifically it is presented in that language, and what is expected falls in that field.
And their correct is with the two rows, then they write clear. That's correct. They just cross it.
Diagonally.
Diagonally, then they say clear. That's their correct.
That's their correct. I happen to have sent an exam to students to the examination body of the university, and then the exam was, I think, at stapling, printing and stapling. The exam was for measurement and evaluation, but someone stapled a paper for accounting from another what? From another examiner, and it was continuing from question 5, 6, 7. They were accounting paper, asking students to do to construct a cash flow balance sheet, and then then we were, but what is this? Is it measurement and evaluation or what? But it was with one student.
Another example of that. In geography, when we are calculating a decrease, the negative, we put a negative. For example, negative 20%. Calculate the percentage decrease. But in mathematics, it's not accepted. You can't say that something declined or decreased by negative. They say a decrease or the what?
It's a negative.
Therefore, as in geography, we say that a decrease is shown by what?
By
Negative. So that is difference. Even in economics, when we are calculating elasticity, elasticity of demand, there is positive and what? Negative. Positive shows a certain type of commodity, and then the negative also shows another one. For example, inferior goods, theirs is negative. So that negative helps us to show that this is this type of what?
Good.
For example, in income analysis of demand, if it is an inferior good, that the abnormal trend, like when the price increases, their demand
Declines.
no, as in for income. When somebody's income increases,
The
their
demand
demand decreases. They are called inferior goods. For example, things to do like posho and beans. In Uganda here, to take people, poor people, to be the ones consuming those items. When their incomes increase, their demand instead what?
Decreases.
Now that one is shown by a negative because it is abnormal. In most cases, when somebody's income increases, we expect more
consumption.
So the negative shows abnormality.
Okay.
But in mathematics, it's not accepted to show that somebody decreased by a negative.
Okay.
So, everything that better.
It is flowing. So that is the authenticity of a research instrument. The other that we've looked at is equity. You've seen it. Equity is already covered there. And then transparency.
Transparency. Another principle is transparency.
There is transparency as another. What does transparency entail? I heard the Uganda, the Katikiro of Uganda came up with the word of transparency as obwerufu. What is that in assessment and evaluation?
The word involves scores should be clear.
Okay.
Should be clear.
And should be transparent. So
here definition 1 mark, formula 2 marks. Not just the other one we gave this, maybe for us in geography and economics. We have where we give full mark, half. It should be clear. When you have just given a point, half. Point plus explanation, full mark.
okay.
Even the student, when you do corrections, they should be able
To see it.
to see that here I got half because I have explanation. Here I got full, but not just you have brought back results and students cannot even interpret the results.
Have you ever done corrections together with this? Okay, going back to the papers when the students are having them and they are already marked.
That's what it is.
Have you ever experienced some arguments from students?
Yes. They defend their arguments.
They argue.
Now, I want to pose this question to secondary school teachers as well. Do you think the grading now in the lower secondary school is it transparent to us parents? Because you said outstanding, moderate, basic. Is it transparent to us the parents, really?
You will understand and you become transparent. You are not yet at school.
You have to engage the parents.
Even us, we are still understanding. We shall make you understand it. You just do what it is. We shall make you understand later.
I want 100%, 80, 70.
Be minus.
Okay. So, transparency portrays the true picture of an assessment and evaluation result to everyone with that clarity. You see, it has to portray the true picture.
Assessment and evaluation
Results. to stakeholders. When a parent looks at an answer sheet, in schools, answer sheets are the same as question. Yes. And is the parent able to say, yeah, here the teacher was right to say the learner was wrong, and here the teacher was right to say that the answer was right? Or there can be conflicts between the assessment body and the what? And the stakeholders. I happen to have got involved in the marking of the Cambridge examinations. If you are to come up with the marking scheme, you even calculate numbers which students should calculate wrongly. You get it? You have got to create solutions. In the solution scheme, you include directions of divergence, that one of the learner can see this and instead add. Instead of saying 4,000 minus 1,000, instead there is a possibility that the learner will add. So the possibility areas are the student can possibly get 5,000. Another possibility area, the student can divide. Possibly at printing, and that student's answer booklet could have been, a printer could have put some dots somewhere. The student can possibly also divide. You find out at the assessment, you find out why the student took that direction. Possibly the student could have got a reasoning for taking that direction. So that means that in printing and the question should still remain clear, that if here is you're saying add, you even put the word add, then you state this, or subtract, so that the student is helped to interpret the situation. Otherwise, the student can take any direction that he or she wishes. Okay. Those are some of the other principles. We can end here, then go to another area.